Hey there, and welcome to the Gunners Guild. Sorry I've not been actively posting anything lately, still mid-move and kinda busy working with the new job. Anyway, while I don't have my PC all up and running, I've been playing a bit of Ragnarok Online on the Payon Stories server. And today I just want to showcase and talk about my Super Novice farmer. So sit back, grab a drink, and let's just chat. Alright, so it's no secret that Super Novices are insanely strong here in the Payon Stories private server, and they make for pretty much the best farmers. Their only significant downside is that dying ends up costing them a lot of money, as they need to spend soul fragments on resetting their death counters for their plus $10 stats, because there's no soul linkers yet. So to help lessen the threat of death, I've set up this novice to be a flea caster, while still retaining most of the damage that caster super novices can output, as well as having instant cast, because why else would you be a super novice, right? I currently sit at 243 Flea while self-buffed, which is more than enough for the Ashes content, as these Magma Whips require 216 Flea, and Ashes 3 enemies need about 230 Flea. You always want more Flea so that if you're ever touched by like 3 enemies, you can still avoid some hits. Flea casters are not a new concept by any means, but I really wanted to push the Super Novice into being able to avoid almost all content I intend to farm without skimping out on too much damage. So you can watch as I farm Ashes Floor 2 here as I discuss the Novice. Now while my setup is pretty much done for now, there is room for improvement. You can swap out the Novice set and run Momo's Hairband for 6 more Flea, and run a Baby Desert Wolf card in the Sacred Saints robe, and then respec out of 1 Dex to retain your 120 int bonus. And with that, you can then forego all of the Novice set gear, and then either buy the Super Novice gear for more resistances, or fill it in with other custom new content, whatever you want to put in. Also, a Ghost Shroom card in the shield is something that I've been eyeing on as well, so you can end up at about 249 or 250 Flea if you want, but you just lose some of your SP and your HP from getting rid of the Novice set. Might as well talk about the rest of the gear since we're already here. The staff is running the 2 sealed cards for Flea. We don't need the drops cards. You can run fabric cards if you want, if you don't need that much Flea or you have other Flea options just to get some more HP though. For the garment, we just use a Whisper card for 20 Flea, but if I can get a plus 8 cardigan, then a Ninetales card will provide me with 2 more Flea, which would be nice. We don't use the Welder card because dropping to 80 int loses us too much magic attack, and ends up making us have to use another Thunderstorm on average for each mob, and that's too much SP drain for not much gain. For the shoes, we are using a Living Magma card for some extra damage against fire property monsters, which is worth about as much as 5 int, as it's about as strong as another int threshold multiplier. We don't need to worry about the extra damage that we're going to be taking because we have more than enough protection and Flea. In the shield, we have a core card because you basically are required to have it for the Ashes content, but I'd also take a Ghost Room card as well, as I've mentioned. The armor is dealer's choice. I'm using a Panzana card for fire property to negate most of the spell damage taken, which does add up if you start to mob larger packs of enemies. But it's not unbearable without Panzana, but you will need to heal more often, and that does drain your SP. So you can run a Rotofrog card as well for some HP SP. I just thought this one was going to be a bit more smooth overall. Everything else here is pretty much self-explanatory. The stat distribution is pretty specific though. There is room to play around depending on how you want to gear it, but for what I'm doing, it's pretty much no flexible options here. 120 int I feel is the lowest you can go before you start to need extra spells on all the targets, which is just a huge waste of SP, so I try not to go below that. Dex was just enough to reach Instacast with our Zerum cards equipped. While you might think we could drop some Dex to get some more Agi by using drops cards in the staff, it's definitely not as efficient as just getting, 6 Flea from the seals. The rest of the stats were obviously just dumped into Agi. I tried messing with the calculators to make this more efficient one way or the other, but I really couldn't see me getting much more out of this style of a build for the content I wanted to do. Now the skills, nothing special. I only have 2 offensive spells in Thunderstorm and Cobalt. It's neutral coverage for most things in the game, and again it's made specifically to do just certain content, so it works fine for me. Everything else is basically just in passives and buffs. Agi 10 could be dropped back to 1 like most Super Novices have, just for the movement speed increase. And then you could just get another bolt spell or something offensive, but again, I just want to squeeze out every last bit of Flea I could. But you can easily just get Firebolt if you want, or finish Thunderbolt, do something else. You can just drop Warp Portal, which gives you more than enough skills so play around with other things. But yeah, this is basically my Novice, and it crushes the Ashes content, which is exactly what I wanted to do, so yay. Though I don't particularly sit in floor 3 just because of how narrow the passages are, so I try to avoid that and just sit in 2 most of the time. But here in Ashes 2, despite some of the other narrow areas and lack of places to move, you can still effectively kite and mod pretty much everything here safely. Even Ignis isn't that much of an issue, though you do have to be careful about getting stunned, but otherwise he's harmless. SP is drained very fast here though because you're spamming a lot of thunderstorms, so you might want to bring some pots or something else to sustain you more, but I just sit. Sitting's not bad, like you're back on your feet in like 10 to 12 seconds anyways. But that's just basically going to be all for me. I just wanted to share what I've been doing and playing for the time being. Remnant 2 is right around the corner. I'm going to be going hard on that when it's out, hopefully. So bear with me while I transition and get my actual, streaming stuff set up. But yeah, thanks and good luck out there, people.